Welcome to your yoga practice today. So just a suggested prop perhaps as a pillow or a blanket just to start with, because we'll actually start in a seated position. And I'll actually go profile to you just because I figured it might actually be easier to see what I'm doing if I'm facing sideways to you this morning. But we'll make our way into your comfortable seat of choice, whether you're sitting on something or not. And again, it might just feel nice to have just a slight elevation of the hips here in relation to the position of the knees. If you like cross-legged, great. If you prefer to actually butterfly the feet, you can do that. If you prefer to have the knees bent, feel free to do that. I know today I'm just feeling sort of general tightness everywhere. So wherever you are to start is fine. And as you settle into that seated position, just see if you can really root down through the tailbone and really raise up the top of the head while you purposely set the shoulder blades down the back. Just kind of gather in a few breaths here, seeing if you can find a really long spine so you can take a nice full breath in through the nose and full breath out through the nose. And right away, as we start to cultivate breath, we'll just invite in some movement immediately this morning. So I just found myself kind of making some rotations of the torso, just some circles. You could even just go side to side, sort of hip to hip. You could even tent the fingertips behind you and kind of open the chest. And if you are finding some circles, maybe see if you can really stay rooted down through your sits bones. So if I'm over to the side, try not to let your hip lift. Rather explore kind of just those gentle hip stretches as you rotate. Maybe you even crawl forward into a gentle forward fold and send the hips back. Maybe you even find sort of some cat-cow-like positions with the spine, really just whatever is kind of feeling good without overthinking too much. And just keep elongating the breath as you move here. This practice this morning is actually a really, really great practice for women in particular. We're going to move through sun salutations and moon salutations to sort of warm and then cool the body. And these can be really great positions, sort of depending on like how your body's feeling at any given time of the month. Hopefully some of these poses are restorative, just kind of feel right today. Perhaps maybe a little gentle twist. And then I'll actually invite all of us into a gentle side stretch. So let's bend one elbow and just kind of reach up and over, really rooting down again through the hip of the side that you're stretching. And take the time to just kind of bend over. So feel that stretch down one side of the body. Take a full breath into the rib cage and out. And then on an inhale, go ahead and transition to the other side. And I just have kind of a generous bend in the elbow with the hand that's on the floor. But again, continue to really root down through the hip of the side that you're stretching. Taking one more full breath into this entire side body, breathing out. And then inhale to return up to center. Just bringing hands to heart center, pressing thumb knuckles into your heart, taking a full breath in of gratitude, full breath out of something not serving you this morning. And we'll start to make our way into tabletop. So if you have your blanket or pillow, you can just put it off to the side. We may return to that at the end of practice. Hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, toes are uncurled. And let's go ahead and invite in some cat-cow movements if you've not done so already, especially. We'll articulate the spine here, dropping the belly, lifting the heart as you inhale. Exhaling, rounding up like an angry cat. Taking your time, you don't have to necessarily move one breath, one pose. If it feels good to stay, perhaps in one or the other, go ahead. Really remembering as you work into cow that you're stretching the heart forward, not just collapsing down through the belly, but really stretching the heart forward, lengthening the spine as you lower. Moving through one or two more oscillations. And then we'll meet in a neutral spine. Let's walk hands forward and perhaps knees back a little bit into a low plank position. And as you exhale, hug the elbows in really close, lower all the way down to your belly. As you inhale, press into the toes, find low cobra. Exhale to release. Inhale through the knees, through that low plank, and then exhale, tuck the toes, puppy dog. So we're on knees still, toes are tucked, and we're finding sort of this downward dog like upper body position. So we're really pressing down through the hands, the elbows are lifted, maybe the forehead touches. On your next inhale, let's come back up to that low plank, uncurl the toes. Exhale, lower down. Inhale again, find your low cobra. Stretch the heart forward, exhale, release. Inhale, push up through the knees. Exhale back, tuck the toes, puppy dog. We'll do that one more time. On your next inhale, rising up to knees, uncurl toes, exhale, lower down. Let's stay this time. Inhale, find your low cobra, stay for the exhale. Maybe float the hands a little bit. So making sure you're really stretching through strength of the low back here, reaching heart forward. Again, feet are pressing down, knees are off of your mat. On your next exhale, lower down. Press up through the knees. Returning to puppy dog if you like, or if you feel ready, feel free to rise up to downward facing dog. So knowing that throughout your practice, those two postures can be completely interchanged, depending on the strength or desire of using the wrists. Maybe pedal out your downward facing dog if that's where you've landed. Perhaps some alternating knee bends. Sometimes I like to lift up to toes and then bend the knees a lot and just press my chest back toward my thighs. Whatever sort of micro movements here feel good. And from either downward facing dog or puppy dog, if you need to rise for a moment, let's slowly walk our feet up toward our hands. Keeping the feet hip distance, settle into ragdoll. So bend the knees a lot to let your chest rest on or toward your thighs. Let your head hang. Hands can stay down in your mat, or maybe you grab for opposite elbows. Staying still here, or maybe finding a gentle sway side to side. Maybe a slight sway front to back. How much length can you find in the back of the neck? Really stretch long. That generous knee bend to release the low back. Bring your hands back to the mat if you found a grip. And let's slowly roll up from here, all the way to standing. Take your time. Let your arms hang, your head hang until you're all the way at the very top. Rolling the shoulders back, taking a big inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to the heart. Start a little flow. Inhale to reach. Exhale, take a swan dive down. Bend the knees as much as it feels right to fold again. Inhale, halfway lift. Find them lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant your hands. Step the right foot back. Finding a lunge here, keeping the back leg lifted. As you inhale, lift the heart forward, drop the right knee. As you exhale, shift back, slightly straighten the left leg. And just continue to move back and forth. Again, inhales will bring you forward. Exhales will shift you back. But if it feels good to stay in one pose or the other, please feel free to do so. My fingertips are tented here. Just given the tension and the tightness of my body, maybe your hands are flat, but feel free to be up on fingertips. And change the distance of the feet if this isn't quite feeling right. You can bring them closer together for more stretch, farther apart for a bit more ease. And the next time that you're forward in that lunge, take one more big inhale to lift the heart. And then we'll exhale, step the left foot back. Let's find downward facing dog. Just settling back to downward facing dog for a breath. Feel free to stay here, or let's find a flow. Inhaling forward to plank. You can again lower knees if you'd like to. Exhale, lower all the way down or maybe halfway down. Upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale up and through, downward facing dog. So that flow becomes a piece where you can explore and choose what version works for you. Inhale, lift to toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot. Walk or step feet up toward your hands. Inhale, let's find your halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Drive through the feet to rise up whatever way works for your body. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step left foot back. Again, settling into the lunge, and then start to inhale, lift the heart forward, lower left knee. Exhale, shift back, slightly straightening the right leg. And I'll just stress again that slightly or mostly straightened right leg. We certainly don't want to lock out the right knee. We're just starting to feel a little bit of a stretch in the hamstring when we shift back. So just be really mindful and gentle, again, depending on how your body's feeling. I love these sort of moments where we just sway back and forth or oscillate in a pose. So you can just really explore and find what your body's calling for. Maybe taking a few more, or again, pausing in one or the other. And the next time you're forward in that low lunge, we'll just take one big inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Or remember, you can find puppy dog, knees down. Option to inhale forward to plank and find a flow. Exhale will lower you. Inhale, finding your back bend of choice, lifting the heart. And exhale up and through, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift to toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot. Walk or step, feet up toward your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Drive through the feet to lift the body. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step right foot back again. This time, lower right knee down, uncurl the right toes. Let's rise up to a low lunge. Arms can reach, just making sure, again, the shoulder blades are really down into the back. And if you don't want to keep your arms over your head, just bring them to heart center. There's no need to force that if the shoulders feel tight. Let's oscillate slightly here. So as you inhale, lift the torso, lift the hips. As you exhale, sink a little bit. Inhale, just slight lift. Inhale, sink. Maybe you even think as you inhale, you draw the inner thighs together. As you exhale, let them release. So just explore, how does the low back feel? How do the hip flexors feel? And see if you can settle then into a spot that feels right for all of those pieces. That you've got the heart lifted, low back is safe, we're not totally sinking. We've got that nice long stretch in the right hip flexor. Exhale, let's put the hands down, come onto the right toes, step left foot back to meet the right, downward facing dog. And again, option to flow that out. Inhale to come forward. Exhale, lower, really press down through thumb and index fingers. You find your back bend. Continue to press down through thumb and index finger as you find down dog. One more time through our sun salutation. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend the knees, walk or step feet toward your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise. Drive through the feet, touch the sky, and then exhale, swan dive down right away. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step left foot back. Lower left knee down, uncurl the left toes, rise up to your low lunge. Hands reaching, hands at heart center. And again, just start to play with inhales, lifting a little bit, exhales, sinking a little bit. And this doesn't have to be dramatic. If someone were watching, it might look like you're barely moving, but just thinking about those little shifts inside the body, inner thighs together, inner thighs apart. Just take those few oscillations here and then see if you can settle into a low lunge that feels restorative, feels like a nice stretch without any pinching or crunching in the back. Take another big inhale to reach. Exhale, plant your hands, come onto left toes, separate foot back, downward facing dog, or puppy dog or child's pose. And again, option to shift forward on your inhale, finding a flow here, flushing out the body using full, long breaths. Transitioning back, meeting back, downward facing dog. Taking a big breath through the nose, big breath out of the mouth. Inhale, lift to toes. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, walk or step, feet up toward your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, stretching the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. From here, let's go ahead and just step the right foot back. Let's find a high lunge. So mimicking what we did before, and this time just deciding where that back knee should be. If it can feel a little bit better on your low back with a slight bend in the back knee. Otherwise, you can start to drive up through the back thigh, lifting the right knee toward the ceiling. Just taking one more breath here in that high lunge. And then let's change the position of the feet to find warrior one. I'll bring hands to heart center. So all we've done is planted the back foot, but just make sure that back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. And let's clasp the hands behind the body here, finding a bit of a heart opener, maybe a tiny back bend. So you'll notice my feet are apart. So I'm definitely on railroad tracks with the feet, not a balance beam. Just kind of settle into the hips. See if you can sink a little bit more into that front knee and let the front knee open up slightly toward your left pinky toe. So it's not collapsing in or really opening. One more big breath here. Let's sweep the arms up for an inhale. Exhale, find warrior two. So we line up the feet now. And this is where we've just kind of done a little transition for the hips. Not sure if you noticed, right? We were square, then we started to open, and now we're really open in warrior two. So noticing sometimes my right hip tends to jut out a little bit. So make sure your right hip is tucked underneath the right shoulder. Continue to press the left knee open toward the left pinky toe. Inhale, let's reach both arms up, straighten both legs. Exhale, sink. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sink. Keeping shoulder blades down the back. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sink. Just pausing here, noticing the hips really opening. And then we'll cartwheel the hands down, spinning back toward the front of your mat in what looks like a low lunge. Let's drop the right knee down, uncurl the right toes, and walk your left foot out to the left a few steps so both of your hands are inside the left foot. So this is lizard, and just take a few moments to shift here. We'll stay down on the knee. If you want to invite in more, you can come back up onto the back toes here. But just find a few little maybe hip circles and rotations. And then if you want to settle into some stillness for a few breaths, maybe you just stay right here on the hands. Maybe your hips are able to explore coming down to perhaps one forearm or two. Being willing to explore with no judgment. So no expectation, no, oh my gosh, I can't bring my forearms down so my hips are horrible. None of that. Just noticing where you can find a little deeper opening for one more breath. And if you were down on forearms, let's come back up, keeping right hand down. Let's use left hand to push the left knee open, finding twisted dragon. So just letting the left leg rotate onto the left edge of the left foot. Perhaps looking over your left shoulder a little bit, your choice in how much of a twist you find here. And then let's come back to the center. Walk your left foot back in between your hands. Come up onto the right toes. From here, can you rise back up to your high lunge? In this high lunge, let's bring hands to heart center. Tilt forward as far as you can. This doesn't have to be your lowest lunge ever. And then turn and twist. Hook right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. I like to actually make a fist with my left hand and push it into my right hand that's open, into my right palm. That push helps me twist and helps me keep my chest open. Make sure you're not letting the left knee collapse in. Can you keep pushing your left knee out? If this feels better dropping down on the right knee, please feel free to do so. You don't have to stay up in that high lunge. Let's take another breath. That nice big twist. And then let's inhale, unwind, sweep up, pushing up to standing at the top of your mat. Exhale, hands to heart center. Ooh, they make your Left thigh a little bit mad this morning. Give it a little shake. Just a freedom breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to heart. And then let's step the left leg back. So again, just settling in a high lunge first, exploring the depth of the left knee bend. There is no right or wrong. There's no required depth of your lunge here. Again, this is just to open up the left hip flexor, bring your hands to heart center. And just taking one more breath here. And then we'll spin the back foot down, coming up to warrior one. So even though we're about to kind of repeat that same sequence on the other side, clasped hands behind, it's likely not going to look or feel the same, just given the nature of our hips. So that's just fine. So start to explore here as you're really pressing down with the back edge of the left foot, opening the chest and heart, sinking a little bit into the right knee and making sure again that your right knee is opening toward the right pinky toes. So we're not collapsing in. Taking another breath here, another exhale. Then on your next inhale, reach up. Exhale, open to warrior two. So shifting the alignment of the feet. This time they are in one line, front ankle and back arch line up. Checking again that the left hip isn't jutting back, seeing if you can just tuck that left hip directly under your left shoulder. Inhale, straighten both legs, reach up. Exhale, sink. Inhale, lift and straighten. Exhale, sink. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sink. Continue to open the right knee toward the right pinky toes. And then we'll cartwheel the hands coming all the way down like you're in a low lunge. But then let's lower left knee down, uncurl left toes, walk the right foot out to the right. So both hands again are inside the right foot. So again, we are repeating a pose that will likely feel very different. So again, I just kind of start with some hip circles here, maybe just some movements, just a few little rotations. And you can find some stillness. Maybe you find here that you definitely have to stay up on hands. Maybe you find this hip is like, oh yeah, forearms, I got that. Maybe it's one forearm. Whatever works to just find a little bit more depth. And again, if you really do need more, come up onto the back toes. And if you can still come to forearms, it's just whatever range of motion your hips have here. And again, it's a judgment-free zone. There's no place your hips have to get to in terms of flexibility. We have no destination that we're all reaching. We're just exploring what the stretch is today in this moment for our hips. And then if you'd like to, coming back up, left hand stays down, right hand just starts to tilt the entire right leg out to the right edge of the right foot. Maybe a little bit of a twist in this twisted dragon. Looking over the right shoulder, perhaps check with the breath, making sure the breath is still moving in through the nose, out through the nose smoothly. And then returning back to center, walking the right foot back inside between the hands, come up onto left toes. See if you can rise back up to your high lunge. And then we'll bring hands to heart center. Tilt your weight forward in your upper body as far as you can, and then turn and twist, hooking left elbow outside. Again, I'm going to make a fist with my right hand now and press it into my left palm. I prefer that much better than keeping prayer hands, but it's your preference for sure. You can drop the left knee down if that feels better to your body. Continue to keep the right knee opening, pushing right knee into left elbow. Taking another twist breath here. And then we'll unwind, reach up one more time. And then power through the legs to step left foot up to meet the right. Exhale, hands to heart. Another freedom breath, inhale, reach. Exhale, breathe out. Little standing pose here. Option 4, either tree pose, which has a foot pressing above the knee, right below the knee or kickstand. Or you can try standing lotus. We actually grab your foot and kind of hook it near the hip crease of your left leg. Did I say we're going to stand on left leg? Doesn't even really matter which side you're on. But both are a balancing pose. If you're exploring lotus, I actually continue to hang on to my foot. Some people can let go. Lotus is going to get a stretch across the top of the foot, a different hip opener, and a stretch across the knee. You can explore arms from either pose. So from tree pose, hands can be at heart, reaching, hands behind again. So many options and variations that hopefully have you finding something that works and not too overwhelmed. Left leg is strong but not locked. Your standing leg. Breathe for just another moment. Big breath out. And then carefully unwinding from whichever pose you chose. Let's actually try to land in stillness. So sometimes we wiggle things out. Let's see if you can just land here for a moment. Just notice the both sides of the body. Notice perhaps a difference on the side we just worked. And then we'll shift weight into the right foot or whatever side you did. The variation doesn't have to be the same. So if you're finding tree, you don't have to put your foot in the same position. Just make sure you're avoiding the knee. If you'd like to try to find standing lotus, grabbing left foot and just pulling it up toward the hip crease on the right side. Seeing if you can let the right knee drop open. Exploring the arms. The more arm raising you do, the more challenge with balance. You could even explore lifting up the gaze. Looking up higher will actually challenge your balance. Seeing if you can maybe invite in that position, that moment when you start to wobble, taking advantage of the brain work that's required there, the core work. Good, one more breath wherever you are. Breathing out and then slowly unwinding, returning to a standing position. Again, hands at the heart, just landing, trying not to wiggle, trying not to fidget, just be present. Just breathe. Good, inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to heart. We'll move into our moon salutations. So if you're at the top of your mat, I'd invite you to turn to face the side of your mat, and whatever side you're on, just to help me cue for you, could you come to the left side of your mat? So moon salutations are actually really great to do in the evening. So you could even pull this segment of class for an evening little mini flow. We'll start to cool the body and just invite in a few more postures. Arms reach overhead. Clasp your fingers and find sort of that pointer finger. So you're making a fist, but you're releasing the index fingers. Inhale, stretch up, and then tilt over to the left side. Little half moon here. Good, staying for just a breath or two, opening the right shoulder a little bit. Next inhale, reach up, half moon to the right. And it doesn't matter how wide or narrow your feet are. Whatever stance just feels normal here. Continuing to open right shoulder, push down through the left hip and left foot. Inhale, lift up. And as you exhale, take a big step out with your right foot. Let's find goddess. Your toes are out, heels are in. This doesn't have to be the lowest squat ever. I want you to just try to draw the elbows back. See if you can open up at the knees. So don't force this really low sumo squat. Just find some opening here. Good. Inhale, reach and straighten. Exhale, start to spin the left foot, straighten the arms. We're going to reach toward your right foot as long as you possibly can and then tilt into triangle. Let your right hand land somewhere on your right leg. It doesn't matter where your gaze is, so please, wherever your neck feels most comfortable, just be there. If it's looking toward the right foot or looking straight out, or maybe you do look toward your left fingertips. Take another big breath in. And as you exhale, rotate your entire body toward your right foot. Step your left foot a little closer at 45 degrees to find pyramid. So this is a hamstring stretch. The farther away your feet are, the more ease into the stretch you'll find. The closer your feet are, the more stretch you'll find. Maybe you keep your spine really long and lifted here. Maybe you really fold over. See if you can nudge the right hip back in space just a little bit. And then when you're ready, let's step the left foot back long, lower left knee down, uncurl left toes. Let's rise up to that low lunge one more time. We've been here before. Find a big lift of the heart. And as you exhale, plant both hands inside the right foot. Let's turn to the side of your mat where you were originally, facing the side, and let's lunge all the way over to the left. Maybe you just kind of shift your hips back. Maybe your right toes lift up, just kind of finding this side lunge stretch. And then tilt and shift to the right side, side lunge. Shift back over to the left side, spin your body to face that side of your mat, coming down, lowering right knee, finding a low lunge on the other side. So left leg is in front, right knee is down. As we continue the circle here, exhale, plant the hands, come up onto the left foot to find pyramid. So we're on the other side, just working through the pyramid or through the sequence of backwards. So again, pyramid pose, left foot is in front. Decide how wide the feet are. Decide if you're really folding over the left leg or keeping some length in the spine. Draw the left hip back just a little bit. All right, transitioning, our goal is to find triangle. So rotate the right foot so it's parallel to the short edge of your mat, left hand on your left leg, and then peel yourself open, triangle. And use the support of left hand and left leg. Just again, don't press on the knee. Seeing if you can stack the right shoulder and the right hip. Taking one more breath here. Then inhale, rise all the way up. Turn all 10 toes out, sinking down into goddess one more time. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bring hands to heart. Step to the right side of your mat. So there is one cycle of a moon salutation. We'll go through one more time just so the side that's first and second does rotate. So we're on the right side of our mat. Inhale to reach. Clasping hands, releasing index fingers. Inhale, big stretch up. Exhale, tilt over to the right. Press the left hip down, maybe press the left hip out. Rotate a little bit, opening left shoulder. Keep breathing. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, tilt to the left. Maybe press the right hip out a little bit. Open up the right shoulder, draw the right shoulder back. Pull with the fingers. Inhale, reach. Exhale, step out nice and wide. Goddess. Again, toes are turned out from the heels. Don't worry about the squat. See if you can open. Draw the elbows back. Open the heart. Keep bringing the knees back. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, turn to face the left foot. Spin the right foot flat. Reach forward as far as you can and tilt into triangle. So we were just here, but now this is technically first side. What can be different this time? Can you really stack and open the right shoulder, maybe even a little bit more? Feeling that rotation in the body. And then as you exhale, drop right hand down around the left foot, rotating the right foot slightly to find pyramid. So again, second time with this pyramid stretch, maybe you adjust the distance of the feet. See if you can let the head go a little bit. Where can you soften? Where can you find a little bit more ease through the second round? And then we'll scoot the right foot back, lower right knee down, uncurl right toes, rise up to your low lunge, just for a breath, big lift. Exhale, bring the hands down inside the left foot, turn to the side, the long side of your mat. Let's low lunge all the way back to the right side. Shifting your weight toward the right foot, trying to keep the right knee inside the right ankle. And then shifting over, low lunge to the left. I'm actually using my left elbow to press into my left thigh a little bit. And then shifting back toward the right leg, turning your body toward the short edge of your mat, dropping left knee down, uncurl left toes, rise up. Low lunge, right leg in front. One big breath in. Exhale, plant the hands, come up onto both feet, pyramid pose. So play with where that left foot is going to get rooted down. Left foot is at about 45 degrees. Seeing if you find a little bit of release in the back of the neck. Exploring again the second time now, pyramid with right leg in front. Let's start to spin the left foot to be parallel to the short edge of your mat. We're going to find our way to triangle. So rotate up and open, right hand on right leg, triangle. Left arm reaching, left elbow open. Nice and long, keeping the spine really reaching from the hip. Inhale, reach up with the right arm, turn the toes out, exhale into goddess. Taking one more breath here, feeling like this is ease in goddess. Relax in the shoulders. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart, step to the left edge of your mat. Hands to heart center. One more big breath in. Exhale, hands to heart. So even though that was a really long series of standing poses, hopefully there's a little bit of softness that's come over the body and working through that moon salutation. Let's come back to the top of your mat, facing the top of the short edge of your mat. We'll make our way back down to the belly here. Inhale, reach. Exhale, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank. From high or low plank, let's hug the elbows in and come all the way down to the belly. All right, we're gonna find cattail pulling pose. So we'll start to roll onto the left side of the body, just like literally like you're lounging here. My left head is in the left hand, and then my right knee is gonna bend out to the side at about 90 degrees. So it's just sort of feel like you're just like laying on the floor, ready to relax. And then we'll bend the left leg and reach back for the left foot. So I do like this to be a top of the foot stretch. So I'm kind of grabbing more toward my toes and pulling in. While you pull the left foot in, see if you can press the left hip down. So we're opening hip flexors and the left quadricep a little bit here. This is a great stretch to release hips, quads, even the right shoulder. And just that slight twist for the low back. Good. Releasing left foot when you're ready. Rolling back to the center. Just pausing there for a moment, maybe resting the chin in your hands, maybe even bending both knees, and you can just kind of windshield wiper the legs if that feels good. And we'll explore that cat tail pulling pose on the other side. So you'll roll over onto the right side of your body, just letting your head rest in your arm. Left knee bends at that sort of like lowercase h position with your legs and your upper body. And then bending right knee to reach back and grab for the right foot. And deciding where it feels best to kind of pull on your right foot, maybe exploring that stretch across the front of the foot by pulling more toward your toes, pressing right hip down, feeling a stretch across the right quadricep. And checking in with the breath. There's lots of tiny nuances to this pose, but just keep the breath flowing in through the nose, out through the nose. And then when you're ready, we'll release the right foot. Again, rolling back to the center, let both legs go long behind you, resting chin in your hands. And again, if you'd like to bend both knees and just kind of windshield wiper, really gently just massaging out where the pelvis is resting on your mat. And then we'll bring both legs long, hands next to the chest, push up and through, opening the knees, bringing feet together. Let's find child's pose. Just really easing back into a restorative child's pose with a really generous bend in the elbows. Imagine that someone is coming by and just giving a gentle pull down and back near your low back. Seeing if you can stretch the tailbone down and back, releasing the length of the spine. Maybe a few little circles at the hips just to find that ease. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And we'll slowly make our way up to a seat. You can face the top of your mat. I'll face sideways so you can see me a little bit better. We'll work into seated swan. It's almost like a pigeon stretch that's great for hips and for low back. So leaning back again a bit, both knees bent. Let's take right ankle on top of left knee. Flex your foot. So that means you're going to really send your right heel out and draw your right toes toward your knee. And then start to sit up as tall as you can. Maybe your left foot comes closer to the body. Maybe your right knee pushes out toward the front of you. So sitting as tall as you can, keeping both sits bones down. So continue to root down through the right sitting bones. Just feeling this nice stretch. Good. Staying right there, depending on how close you are, maybe you even cradle the leg and find that cradle pose instead. So that transition can be something that your hips are not okay with. And maybe it is on one side or the other. So you can just explore what that is to actually hug the leg in a little bit. From either position, we'll unhook that right foot, right ankle, bringing both legs in front, leaning back, and just drawing up, almost like a slight baby back bend here. Pressing through the hands, drawing the heart up, maybe just raising the chin ever so slightly. And then releasing down to find second side. So let's all start in sort of that seated swan, that figure four type position. Again, really flexing through the foot. That helps keep that left knee safe. And sit up as tall as you can, maybe walking the hands in. Maybe the right foot comes a little closer to the body. Pressing the left knee forward just a little bit while you keep curling the left toes toward the knee. Keep the left sitting bones really rooting down so you're finding that nice maximum stretch through the hip and actually really helping support the low back here. And you can stay here for a few more breaths, or if you want to see what happens if you actually cradle, if you're able to cradle left foot into right elbow, you can even kind of sway and rock a little bit in that cradle position. Just something else to explore if the body feels that exploration today or not. And then from either position, let's unwind, bring the hands forward again, take them nice and wide and just windshield wiper one more time. Feel free to really rotate if it feels good to literally rotate the torso and let the knees fully drop. You can do that. If you have to kick your dog out of the way, my goodness, you all, this dog, let me tell you. All right, and then we'll face the top of your mat. We'll start to bring our way to the floor. If you want to grab that pillow or blanket that you had and just have it next to you to grab easily, you may want it. Sitting up at the top of your mat, reaching, lifting, and then we'll slowly unwind. Really articulate the spine. Take your time to come down. I'd recommend keeping your knees bent at first and reach the arms above you. And then maybe find that goalpost set of arms one more time out at the side, just noticing if that feels okay for the shoulder. You can keep them reaching overhead or at your sides if not, but maybe seeing what happens if you goalpost, finding one more release across the chest and the shoulders. And then we'll take that pillow or blanket. We'll just work a little inversion here. Lift the hips up just enough to tuck that pillow or blanket right underneath the sacrum, right underneath the tailbone, and just let the legs kind of float up here. You don't have to kick them with all of your energy. We don't have to keep them totally straight. Just let them float. Hopefully they really do feel like they're floating above you, arms at your sides, and maybe here your eyes start to close. Just taking this inversion where we bring the lower body above the heart, where we're changing the blood flow of the body here in a way that's really restorative for the heart, for the brain. Starting to find some softness across the face and the shoulders. And again, just letting those legs really float. Staying here for maybe another breath or two. And we'll prepare for our final rest, our Shavasana. When you're ready to transition, lift your hips up just to scoot that pillow or blanket out of the way, slowly lowering hips. Again, your Shavasana can be knees bent if that feels best for your low back. Maybe the legs do straighten, but you put your pillow or blanket behind your knees. That can be a way to just find a little bit more of a restorative, supportive legs out position. Arms at your sides. And just taking that moment to scan the body from the top of the head all the way to the toes. Working down through the neck to soften across the shoulders. Seeing if you can really soften at the elbows and the wrists. Noticing some ease across the pelvis and the inner thighs and the knees. And finally, really letting the ankles splay open, the feet opening to the side. And just use the support of the earth here and the steady breath as you take that rest. And we'll slowly start to bring your awareness back to your body, back to your breath. In whatever way you'd like to bring that awareness back, maybe you just focus on a few inhales and exhales. Maybe you wiggle the toes a little bit or the fingers. Maybe you even turn your head a little side to side. And we'll make our destination that comfortable seat where we started our practice today. So, in whatever way you'd like to get there, maybe you start by bringing the knees bent if they're not, maybe even hugging the knees in toward your chest, maybe even a little rock side to side. You can roll over to one side and push yourself up, or take a little rock and roll to come up to a comfortable seat, whatever works for you. Maybe trying to keep the eyes closed as you come back to where we started our practice, bringing hands to heart center. Taking note, as we did at the beginning of our practice, of sitting bones really rooted, crown of the head really stretching up, and shoulder blades down, lengthening the spine. Taking that same little quick body scan, hopefully noticing some ease and relief from when we were 45 minutes ago. Pressing hands, thumb knuckles into your heart center, taking a full breath in with gratitude, full breath out, letting go. The light and love in me recognizes and honors the light and love in each of you. Namaste.